if anything, explains why it was the right decision for me to make that move and why it really has kind of changed everything in my life. So let's jump right in. I hope you enjoy the video. Hello, everybody. Maria Di Poce, your coach, coming to you today. This is going to be my only and last video of the year. It is December. We are all putting a bow on our business, maybe reviewing our year, putting a bow on the end of the year. And for me, it's really no different. I take this time of the year to kind of slow down a little bit. We're helping all my coaching clients, of course, finish their business plans. But at the same time, I do a little bit of a review on my year to really make sure that I was intentional with my decisions, that I can look back in my income, that it came close to my goals. And it's really always crazy when I do that because this year was really a big change year for me. And that's what I want to talk about today. So I listened to a podcast. Many of you guys know that I'm a big fan of everything life and real estate with Dana Gentry Linda McKissack. And they did a podcast on the 7 trade-offs that John Maxwell went through at one of the seminars that they attended that you have to have in order to go up, not necessarily go up, but just move towards the things that you want in life. And so leaving the team leader role this year was one of the biggest professional decisions that, of course, I made in my entire life. And if I'm being honest, it was probably one of the scariest ones that I ever did. And I'm going to go through those 7 trade-offs that John Maxwell talks about and talk about how each one of those things related to the team leader role for me. And if you're not with Keller Williams, maybe I'll touch on what is the team leader role if you don't know. And honestly, looking back and really going through those trade-offs, if anything, explains why it was the right decision for me to make that move and why it really has kind of changed everything in my life. So let's jump right in. I hope you enjoy the video. So for years, as many of you know, I was a team leader for 9 years. I poured my heart and soul into these market centers. I was actually involved with 3 market centers. So in non-Keller Williams speech, a team leader is not a broker. We are not, office manager, right? We really have this specific role in the organizational model, which basically puts us in a position where we get to come up. We're kind of like the CEO of the market center, if that makes sense. So there's an office manager, there's a broker, and I do everything in between, or I used to do everything in between. So that came with obviously talent attraction, recruiting, making sure the market center was hitting numbers, that it had the goals, making sure that my top 20% was really, really happy. And there's just like a lot more to it, but I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. And then as far as market center is concerned, that is in office. That's what Keller Williams calls their offices. And I'm really proud of the years that I put into that market center. We definitely grew, we built culture, we hit some serious milestones, and I loved the work. The work was awesome. But at some point, I started feeling like something was shifting inside of me. And I was maybe growing in a different direction, more along the lines of like coaching and leadership development, really wanting to maybe build something bigger than what I was able to build in the team leader role. When you feel that tug that you're meant for more, and this is the purpose of this video, you really have a choice. You can ignore it, or you could trade something that's good for something that's great. And that's what I feel like I did. So let's jump into the trade-offs. And so I'm going to go ahead and go through these with you. So the 7 trade-offs I made leaving the team leader role using John Maxwell's principles. So John says the dream is free, but the journey isn't. And the journey requires trade-offs. The question everyone asks is, am I willing to give up what I have now to get where I'm going? That's what a trade-off is, right? And you don't leave something, you go towards something. And I think it's really hard sometimes to leave what you have for something that you don't have that's maybe scary. So the trade-off number 1 John Maxwell talks about is something stands between you, where you are, and where you need to go. So looking back in my team leader role, I realized that the thing standing between me and my next level was my own comfort. I feel like the team leader was safe. It was known. It was structured. I feel like I was really good at the team leader role. I was part of the the team leader advisory council for the company. So out of 900 market centers, there was about 40 of us. And I felt like I was hand selected for that group because I was really good at what I did. And coaching full time would mean building something from the ground up again that I had never done before. Because really, I'd never built a coaching business before. So my first trade-off was letting go of the security that I have, of having a paycheck, of knowing that I was going to get paid every 2 weeks to pursue the future that I felt called to pursue. So again, what's standing between you and where you want to go? And for me, it was my comfort. Trade-off number 2 is that Maxwell talks about is trade-offs never leave you the same. Stepping out of the leadership role was really scary because I was really comfortable in that role. It forced me to grow, to put myself back in the business owner's seat. And it's different when you can act like a business owner, but you're not officially the business owner, to where you are the business owner, right? Which is what I am now, right? So I had to build my schedule. I had to rebuild my identity. I feel like I'm still doing that. I had to rebuild my business model and really my confidence, right? I had some confidence going into this, obviously, because I had been coaching and consulting agents in my market center, but they weren't necessarily writing me a check to do that, right? They weren't paying me to do that. So I walked out as one person and walked into a completely different version of myself. I talk a lot about identity to my clients. And I feel like no matter where your identity lies is ultimately who you are going to attract. Trade-off number 3 is trade-offs are not comfortable or natural. So John and Dana was kind of talking about this from the event. John Maxwell stated that when you start feeling claustrophobic, like in your leadership role and just in any role that you're in, specifically to him, he knew that he needed a specific change. And he said, sometimes we feel like we can feel a little claustrophobic. And like you might be thinking about some sort of, if that's happening, you're probably really close to needing to make a change and really knowing that feeling and recognizing it. So nothing about leaving the team leader role was comfortable. It was really hard for me to say goodbye to all the agents. I haven't spoken to most of them since I left the role. And then letting go of just a daily structure that honestly I excelled in. It was really easy for me to show up and know exactly what I needed to do every day to be successful. And like jumping into an unknown of things that like I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I did, but I had a little trial run, so I kind of understood, but not as in detail as, of course, I had the team leader role. And then your growth lives on the other side of discomfort that you're willing to endure. Yeah, it was uncomfortable. I mean, there was just like nothing comfortable about making the move and making the change. Hey, everybody, Maria Di Poce from the future popping in. Thank you so much for making it almost all the way to the end, halfway through, I guess. That's where this video is going to go. First of all, I want to thank you for watching it. I've already gotten a lot of really great feedback with the people that I shared this with so far. Also, I want to say if any of this content resonated with you and it feels like maybe it's time for you to make a trade-off, whatever that looks like, I want to be here for you. So go to booktimewithmaria.com. Hopefully it'll be inserted right here and book some time with me. I have some deep dives scheduled on my calendar, just open time blocks for me to get to know my audience better, but also to talk through some of the challenges that you're having in your business. All right, that's all. Enjoy the rest of the video and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye. Trade-off number 4, John says, the higher you climb, the tougher the trade-offs. So the better I got at leadership, the harder my decision became. That mainly was because I maybe thought that like there was more on the path of me being a leader at Keller Williams. And it really, I had to get serious and I had to get real about looking around me and going, that's not the case. And maybe there was a path, but it wasn't the path that I wanted to be on because it didn't align with my calling. And I'm going to talk about that in number 7. It required courage and confidence in myself, right? The higher you climb, the tougher the trade-offs, the harder it gets to go, I'm walking away from this thing I'm really good at, that I'm really successful at, that I make really good money, to go do this other thing that I'm not proven in. right? So you don't make the big decisions when you're struggling, you make them when you're succeeding. And that's what happened to me. I made the decision when I was probably one of the best team leaders in the country. And then success can trap you. I had to choose between staying comfortable or continuing to climb, which of course I chose to continue to climb. The higher you climb, the harder it gets, but the greater you become. So this choice really stretched me. It demanded a whole new level of courage and discipline and vision to really step away from, again, what I knew to what I didn't know. But ultimately, the stretch made me better. It made me a better leader, a better coach, a better business owner. It helped me relate to my clients better as well, because now we're having a little bit of higher level conversations about money, and how I'm treating money as a business owner and the flow of money, and how they should do that as well. So every hard decision grows you if you let it. So at this level, at this trade-off number 5, John talks about how you have to move from training people to transforming people. And ultimately, that's part of my calling. Because when you get to a certain level of your climb, the trade-off may be that you're not really training them anymore. You're actually figuring out how to transform people. And I think if I could put one sentence out there as far as why I decided to leave the team leader role, is because I was tired of training people and I wanted to get to the point where I was helping transform people. And there is something magical that happens when you align with the right coaching client and they want what you have and they're willing to pay for it. Now they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're showing up every week ready to transform and to become the person that is going to ultimately achieve that goal. And for me, that was just clear: training versus transformation, right? Trade-off number 6, trade-offs created environments for accelerated growth. Create environments for accelerated growth. Leaving the role forced me to learn really fast. I had to refine my coaching framework, which is part of probably I'm still doing that. I had to build my system, develop my brand, step into the leadership, into like a little bit of a different leadership style. The growth that happened in 6 months was bigger than the previous 3 years. And I absolutely know that that's true. These are all my bullet points, by the way. Trade-offs accelerated development because they demand it. And so that is, if you're making big trade-offs and you're not keeping up with those trade-offs, then you're not developing, you're not growing, right? And then number 7, trade-offs require confidence to cross the bridge of security. So I had to trust my calling, and my calling is coaching, developing leaders, helping others build businesses as well. John Maxwell's calling is leadership training and evangelism. And he is so clear on that. When you think about John Maxwell, he's synonymous with leadership and he's synonymous with evangelism. And he's like, you can trade many things, but you can never trade your calling. And for me, when I got really clear about the fact that mine was coaching, developing leaders, and helping others build businesses, if the thing that was, even if I had had an opportunity to go forward and with that piece of the KW opportunity model, it didn't include these 3 things exactly, then I knew I was trading my calling for something else. And so knowing what your calling is really important. So I knew what my calling was, and I crossed the bridge of security and just like really never looked back. This is how the 7 trade-offs that John Maxwell covered lined up with me leaving the team leader role. And like I said, it wasn't easy, but it was worth it. And I'm so happy that I did that. And if you're still watching the video, I'm happy that you're coming along with me and learning alongside of me. If you're still listening and you kind of feel a tug, maybe a pull and like a whisper telling you that it's time for more, don't ignore it, because that's what I did. You know, growth requires trade-offs. So realize that if it hurts, it's because you're growing. And sometimes John says you're just one trade-off away from a really big life. And I'm just the living proof of that. And if you're ready for what's next, I'm here to help you take the next step. I hope I can be a guide for you. And that next step might be making a hire. It might be branching off on your own. It might be leaving a job to go becoming a business owner. Again, this can look a million different ways, but if you related to this video and you enjoyed it, throw me a comment. It would mean a lot to me. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.